Hey everybody, it's Monster and I'm back today with another headphone review. Today I have a fantastic brand new headphone, high dollar headphone, called the Meze Empyrean. This retails for $3,000 and it is a planner ISO something or other design. It's a planner design, but it's different. It has a separate area for the tweeters, from my understanding. These are handmade in Romania, and they are apparently a limited edition. So let's take a look at these, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and what you can expect for $3,000. So let's start off with the build quality and comfort of these. These seem to be simply just top-notch when it comes to the build quality. The metal structure at the top, I believe, is aluminum, and the support strap is completely leather. It has the name Empyrean embossed into the leather strap. The cups have a unique design on the outside of each cup. These are just top-notch when it comes to build quality. The cables use the same connector as the ZMF and Odyssey. As far as comfort goes, I would venture to guess that these are, if not the most comfortable headphones I've ever worn, and they're right up there with the Aeon Flow Closed. These are just a delight to wear. They're just so comfortable. They come with this fantastic carrying case and a separate set of pads. Now the pads, like some of my other reviews, they're not just for comfort, they actually change the sound quite a bit. The pads, one is a leather type pad, and then the other one is a felt covered pad. I believe it's Alcantara, don't quote me on that. The leather pads came attached, and to swap the pads, it's a very, very simple and easy process. You just pull it off, just like that, and put it back on. It goes back on just like that. I believe it's held in by magnets, kind of similar to the Campfire Cascade that I reviewed a few months back. The leather pads gave it a warmer sound, kind of brought the staging in a little bit, and it gave it more of a mid-bass bump. I prefer the cloth pads. It brought the staging out a little bit farther and dropped the bass a bit, and it just sounded more linear, more enjoyable for me. Also, I should mention that with the leather pads in place, it sounded remarkably similar to the ZMF Verite, which I now own. But swapping to the cloth pads gave it enough of a difference to where I could appreciate it on its own as opposed to constantly comparing it to the Verite. And I'll get into the comparisons to the Verite in a bit. Now, the Empyreans are 110 sensitivity, so you can drive them from a mobile phone. I have not tried that, as I have better gear, and I never use my mobile phone to drive headphones. But I've read that other people have used such devices, and it works well. Although they do report that with better amps, you get better sound quality, and I can confirm that. I've been driving it with my Gilmore Light Mark II, and it has no problem driving the Empyreans whatsoever. Um, Interestingly enough, I actually used my Glen OTL to drive the Empyreans. Now, typically, OTLs and tubes don't have the greatest results with planar dynamic headphones. Some do, but most don't. However, the guy that built my amp, Glenn, suggested that I try a pair of 6336 tubes in my Glen for planar headphones. And I had a pair of 6336 tubes on hand. I popped them in, and yeah, it sounds phenomenal through my Glen OTL with the C6336B tubes in place. A huge step up from the Gilmore Light Mark II. So let's get into the sound. These are very similarly tuned as the Verites are. They are a warmish sounding headphone. They've got a really good sense of three-dimensionality, just like the Verites. So not only are they both warm, but they also have this really good, deep, back and forth staging. You get a pretty decent set of width. I noticed it improved with the cloth pads versus the leather pads, but it's not going to make you forget your HD 800s of the world. It's not a massive stage in width, but it does extend beyond your ears. The bass has really good slam, the mid bass. Less so with the cloth pads, but I'm still enjoying the bass presentation with these pads on. The sub bass is decent, although I did notice it tends to roll off a little bit earlier than what I would like. I was missing some lower notes that some of my other headphones pick up. So that is something that I wasn't crazy about, was the sub bass extension. The mids are, the vocals are kind of pushed back a little ways, and then some of the higher note guitars are pushed forward a little ways, so you get that 3D thing going on. Very, very similar to the Verite. It is enjoyable, it's refined, it's relaxed, but it's not like a bombastic high energy sound. It's a refined sounding headphone. The highs are non-sibilant, fairly good detail. With that 3D imaging, you're able to pick up on little details and kind of focus on them more so than with headphones with less separation. There's good texture to the guitar notes and the vocals. And these are incredibly fast headphones. One of the fastest headphones that I've ever heard. Now, typically, my go-to headphone for speed is the original ATH, Audio-Technica AD2000, not the X version, but the original. And that's the fastest dynamic drive. These are faster. Now, that has a lot to do with planar versus dynamic, but still, it's worth mentioning. These are very fast headphones. So when I was listening to some Mellow Death the other night, there's a few songs that I know that most headphones have trouble keeping up with. This just carved that song. It was just a beautiful, clean, fast sound. So if you like fast music, these aren't going to let you down. I haven't played any genre through it that fails, but for $3,000, I would hope it wouldn't fail. All right, so let's get into the comparison to the Verite. At first glance, you would think, well, comparing a beryllium-coated dynamic driver to a planar isn't the best comparison. But as I mentioned earlier, they sound very similar. There's everything that These do, the Verite does. Everything the Verite does, these do. These are faster. The Empyreans are also more comfortable. And I don't have any problem with the Verite comfort, but these take it up an extra notch or two. These are just so comfortable. The three-dimensionality that both headphones possess, in my opinion, the Verite does it slightly better. It goes farther back, it goes farther out, it goes wider, and it goes taller. Now, I'm not talking about a massive difference, but if you're spending this much money for a pair of headphones, you want to get the most out of it you can. So I would give the staging and imaging to the Verite. Musicality, which is a very subjective topic, I also give to the Verite. These seem to have a bit of a cool, minty character in the mids, whereas on the Verite it's a warmer, more organic sound, and that's just personally what I prefer. With the cloth pads on the Empyrean and the universe pads on the Verite, which is my two preferred pad combinations, pad rolls, if you will. The Verite slams harder. The Verite goes down deeper. I don't feel like I'm missing too much of any sub bass at all on the Verite. And I was doing these comparisons through my Gilmore Light Mark II, which is not my preferred amping solution for the Verite, and yet all these conclusions are based upon that amp. So, where I would give the advantage to the Empyrean would be in comfort, speed, and it's clearer sounding. Now, the Verite has a wooden cup, so you're getting a more organic, a bit of a reflection off the wood cup. This doesn't have to contend with that. So this is cleaner sounding. They're both very smooth. They both have that holographic presentation. They both have really good bass. It's just the Verite does it slightly better. So the Verite goes for $2,400. These currently go for $3,000. I love the Empyreans. Don't get me wrong, and I would be happy with the Empyreans as my end-game headphone had I not first purchased the Verite. So again, the differences are not massive, but when you A and B and you go back and forth, you can hear it. There is a difference. So some aspects, the smoothness, the comfort, and the speed, that would be the biggest one for me, would definitely go to the Empyrean. Pretty much everything else I would give to the Verite. So if you've got a lot of money to throw around and you can afford to have two top-of-the-line headphones in your collection, in my opinion, the Verite and the Empyrean sound too similar to each other to warrant owning both. But I like to have headphones that complement each other, that do better what this headphone doesn't, and brings a different quality to the music. I can't afford, nor do I see any reason to get redundant sounding headphones. So if you already own the Verite, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the Empyrean and vice versa. But as a standalone product, a standalone top-of-the-line flagship headphone, I think the Empyrean is very, very good. Is it worth $3,000? No, I don't think so. I think if it came in At 2,000, I would probably be more excited about it. And at 1,500, I probably would buy it, even though it sounds so similar to my Verite. Now, Meze has said that this wasn't meant to be a mass-produced headphone, and it was more of a way to showcase what they're capable of. And this is their first step into huge dollar headphones. I think their previous headphone was like $299 was their highest priced headphone. So this is 10 times that. So this is a huge step for Meze, and they made a really excellent sounding headphone. Incredibly comfortable. Lightning quick. Just lightning quick. So for any fast metal or punk or anything really fast, these headphones are going to slice right through that music, and you're going to hear super clear drum strikes that on other headphones are going to sound a bit blurred or muddy. These you can hear it. It's really fast. So anyway, I've only had these for a week, and unfortunately I got to send them out to the next person tomorrow. I typically, as I've mentioned before, don't like to review headphones unless I've had about a month with them to really get to know the headphone, to really get to know the sound. And unfortunately, this situation doesn't lend me that opportunity to keep these for a month. So I have to do this review now before I get rid of them. So in closing, if you're looking for an easy to drive, yet scalable with your higher end amps, open back headphone, and you want this to be your end game, this is a very, very strong contender. One thing I did forget to mention, these leak a lot of noise. My wife was standing over here checking these out the other day, and I could hear everything. I was only a few feet from her, but I could still hear everything. So if you're planning on wearing these to bed while your significant other sleeps, these aren't the headphone for you. These leak a lot of noise, and everybody's going to hear what you're listening to. And so yeah, but that's indicative of the open back design. Anyway, great headphone. I wish they were a little bit cheaper, and maybe with time they will come down in price. I don't know. That's just me hoping. But yeah, warm, non-fatiguing, refined, beautiful, fast, smooth, detailed, with a very nice holographic image. And that pretty much wraps up what these headphones are. Supreme build quality, supreme comfort. These are great headphones. But for $3,000, they better be. This is Monster, and I'll catch you again next time.